3 more members of Taiwan's pandemic response task force test positive for COVID-19 as Taiwan's COVID wave may be ebbing, but the threat for more contagious subvariants looms. Invasion of the cane toads. We look at how Taiwan's government is trying to contain the spread of this unusual pet. And we take you to Jakarta to find out how Taiwan's top badminton stars are faring in their first Indonesia Open Championship since the pandemic. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. 3 more members of Taiwan's pandemic response task force have tested positive for COVID-19. The officials had mild or no symptoms and are in isolation. This comes after Health Minister Chen Shizong was confirmed infected on Sunday. The mayor of Taiwan's northwestern city of Taoyuan, Zhang Wencan, also tested positive and will isolate at home. A Taiwanese importer is under investigation for supplying defective COVID-19 rapid testing kits from China and passing them off as American. Investigators say Safeway OA Supply Company won bids to supply 10 Taiwanese government agencies with US-manufactured test kits. But when people took the tests, the control line often failed to appear. Investigations found the supposedly US-made FlowFlex test kits were in fact illegally imported from China. Safeway supplied nearly 2 million of the kits, earning more than $3 million. Prosecutors in Hsinchu on Monday seized boxes containing just under 500,000 test kits. 5 people from the company are being questioned. Officials say Taiwan's COVID wave is on its way out, but 2 subvariants are raising concern. Despite easing restrictions, Taiwan has so far stopped at fully opening its borders, fearing it could lead to a fresh spike in cases. John Van Trieste has this report.
2 highly contagious COVID strains have arrived in Taiwan, but health officials say there's little risk to the public for now.
目前来讲，还没有看到有这个扩散的一个情形。不过，因为都是在边境这边拦截到的，我想应该这个会外扩的几率是蛮低的。356好，谢谢。
But medical experts are considering what these subvariants, BA4 and BA5, would mean for Taiwan as it recovers from its biggest COVID spike yet.
初步的研究看起来，它跟 BA.1 或 BA.2 相比，大概有增加20%到30%左右的一个传播力啦。不过这个2成或2成多的这个传播力，都不是像先前比如说那个 Delta 换成 Omicron 的时候，那个是以倍数的方式在增加。
它会突破性感染。那让我们的无敌星星预期会失效。那当然，我们第4季就要再度把它打起来，那把那个免疫的城墙拉得更高。
Taiwan is moving ahead to vaccinate some of its most vulnerable, children. Taipei will start giving a second vaccine dose to children this Saturday, with other cities to follow. The government has shortened the gap between doses for children as young as 5 to just a month. Though Taiwan has not yet approved any COVID vaccine for children under 5, school-aged children will be better protected as they prepare for their summer holidays next month. James Rayner and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Most of the world has been turning to Western medicine to treat COVID-19. But here in Taiwan, one of the most popular treatments uses herbs. This week on TaiwanPlus News, we are airing a special series devoted to a traditional Chinese medicine treatment for COVID, developed right here in Taiwan and available in 50 countries. We'll tell you what clinical trials say about its effectiveness. We'll also visit a hospital to find out how doctors are integrating Chinese and Western medicine, plus a look at how suppliers are building their own herb gardens to ensure their treatments are sustainable. You can catch the first part of our 3-part series, Fighting COVID-19 with Herbs, on Wednesday in our show and everywhere TaiwanPlus is available. Let's take a look at some of the international stories making headlines now. Russian forces have destroyed the last bridge to the eastern Ukrainian city of Severodonetsk. With the strategic city cut off, the regional governor says it is now impossible to evacuate remaining residents and deliver humanitarian supplies. In recent weeks, fighting has been concentrated in the city. Russia has so far taken 70% of Severodonetsk as it tries to seize control of the Donbass in eastern Ukraine. A strike by truckers in South Korea has entered a second week, causing logistics disruptions that could threaten global supply chains. Scuffles broke out between truckers and police in some cities, and ports and industrial hubs have been affected. The truckers are protesting soaring fuel costs. They want the government to extend a subsidy scheme that guarantees minimum freight rates. The scheme is set to expire at the end of the year. 4 rounds of talks have failed to produce a solution. Petrochemical companies and auto and steel makers have cut operations in response to the strike. The movie Jurassic World Dominion raked in $3.3 million at Taiwan's box office in just 4 days. But half a world away in England, scientists are even more excited about the discovery of actual dinosaur remains.
This is really exciting. This is a very large theropod dinosaur, a carnivorous predator. It might be the largest predator terrestrial predator that's ever been found in Europe. So that's pretty exciting.
Paleontologists found the remains of on England's Isle of Wight. It's from a type of dinosaur that lived 125 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. Scientists say the fossil is a spinosaur, which grew up to more than 10 meters long. But they say it's a species that has never before been identified. They are calling it the White Rock Spinosaurid. Paleontologists say the dinosaur has an elongated skull like a crocodile, suggesting that it would have eaten fish. And back here in Taiwan, the deadline is up for cane toad owners to register their pets. Cane toads are considered one of the world's worst invasive species. They were found in the wild in a small town in central Taiwan last year. The toads are native to the Americas and compete with local amphibians for food and habitat. The Taiwan government is allowing toad owners to keep their pets if they register by Tuesday for regular inspections. Those who trade, breed or possess an unregistered cane toad can be fined up to $1,600. Amphibian expert Yiru Yang is leading efforts to remove the invaders. She spoke to our reporter Yijing Huang about the dangerous impact the toads could have on Taiwan's ecosystem.
Can you briefly explain why cane toads were placed on the invasive species list in Taiwan? How did they get to Taiwan?
海蟾蜍它的体型非常的大，大概是8到20公分，然后它的食性非常的广，它只要是比它嘴巴小的一些小昆虫、小蜥蜴或小青蛙都是它的食物。然后另外很重要的是，它也是有毒的，它的毒腺非常的大，所以其他的动物或者是猫狗不小心吃到它，其实是会中毒死亡。那因为这样子，所以它列为世界100大的外来入侵种。那我们台湾其实在过去台湾在1935年代的时候，曾经要控制甘蔗田的害虫，曾经引进过海蟾蜍，可是并没有成功建立族群。那之后，可能是以宠物的名义，然后进到台湾，因为有些人会养宠物，然后会饲养繁殖啊，那所以在我们台湾偶尔会在野外看到海蟾蜍的个体这样子。
What's the biggest challenge ahead? And are you optimistic about containing the population growth?
我们现在控管有2个方向，第一个就是在于饲养的管理的部分哈，那这个部分的话，现在已经根据野生动物保育法，然后我们进行的一个管控，我觉得这个部分应该是在可以掌控的情况之下这样子。那另外一个控管就是已经溢出到野外的，尤其在草屯地区的海蟾蜍，我们必须要进行移除控制。那这部分现在目前是由2栖类保育志工 以及一些保育团体，还有当地的职工，我们进行移除。从去年11月到现在，已经移除了1850多只了哈。然后我们预期还是有一群的个体在野外而且它已经有了下一代，所以这部分我们必须还要再努力哈。那我个人对于要在野外把它们清除，我觉得是相当乐观的，因为草屯地区的居民其实相当的配合，也很支持我们进行这样的移除的控制哈。然后我相信在我们这样子的志工跟当地居民的努力之下，我觉得海蟾蜍是有机会在台湾的野外，然后不再出现。
Coming up, we take an in-depth look at where the power is in China and the challenges facing the leadership in our special preview of TaiwanPlus Point.
The reason I do the teaching to high school students, I think our high school textbook of social sciences is poorly written. My feeling is when I read those texts, I don't want to be a social scientist anymore.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my joke was that those textbooks were written by Fei Die.
I see.
Taiwan's diplomat may be the most frustrating job in the world. They give us pressure, never allowed us to use Taiwan in any place, in our business card, in our letterhead, anything.
I'm Cyrus, see you on TaiwanPlus.
I'm Audrey Tong, see you on TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching Taiwan Plus. For more great news from Taiwan and around the world, download the Taiwan Plus app.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. Beijing again tightened its COVID restrictions and has launched another round of mandatory mass testing on Monday. This comes after a new outbreak of over 200 cases was linked to a bar in the capital's most populous district. COVID restrictions in Beijing were only relaxed last week after many restaurants, businesses and public transport systems were forced to close in late April. China is the last major economy still committed to a zero COVID strategy. China has rejected claims that the Taiwan Strait is an international waterway, saying that it falls within its exclusive jurisdiction.
根据联合国海洋法公约和中国国内法，台湾海峡水域由两岸的海岸向海峡中心线延伸，依次为中国的内水、领海、毗连区和专属经济区。中国对台湾海峡享有主权、主权权利和管辖权。
The UN Convention on the Law of the Sea states that territorial waters extend 12 nautical miles from shore. Coastal states are allowed limited law enforcement in the contiguous zone, which stretches another 12 nautical miles. They also have the right to exploit resources within a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, but cannot apply domestic law within this range. The Taiwan Strait is nearly 100 nautical miles wide. The convention also makes an exception for straits used for international navigation, giving all vessels the right of passage. Beijing's assertion could signal its intent to further restrict access to the Taiwan Strait.
外交部在这边再次的重申，台湾海峡是国际水域，是指凡是属于我国领海范围以外的水域，都适用国际法的公海自由原则。我国向来我们尊重外国的船舶在台湾海峡任何符合国际法的行动，包括无害通过。
And yet within China itself, the 20th People's Congress is approaching, and Beijing watchers are saying that cracks are beginning to show in the Communist Party's leadership. Strict lockdowns, especially in Beijing and financial hub Shanghai, have caused strong resentment and growing concern over an emerging economic slowdown. A new series, Taiwan Plus Point, which offers insight into global news from a Taiwan perspective, spoke with Lai Yizhong, CEO of think tank Prospect Foundation, and Chen Longguo, Deputy Editor-in-Chief of the United Daily News, to find out more.
A major crisis for China, especially in terms of economic slowdowns. So we are seeing that the other group, which is led by Li Keqiang, the Prime Minister, is gaining more and more publicity these days. They are either showing on the People's Daily or they are in the CCTV calling for people to increase their production. I think with October is the 20th Party Congress coming near in. And now is the time that people are trying to figure out who is going to be the 7 standing committee member of political bureau in the next round. So I think Xi Jinping is under tremendous pressure because of this. And if the economics cannot speed up in the next couple of months, if the COVID cannot be fight correctly and then successfully, Xi Jinping will have a hard time trying to make himself a legitimate leader for the next 5 years.
Dr. Lai, do you agree that, this history-making third term, if that's, I've read what you said correctly, could be in doubt?
I have to say that yes, there are the signs that it seems to suggest that the outside of Xi Jinping, the Li Keqiang become another center for the power, and there are two different directions about the national development. And some people, especially, they are very disappointed about the way Xi Jinping handled the COVID. But I do not see the signs or the evidence suggesting that Xi Jinping anyway will not be able to succeed in his third term. Of course, all the internal struggles, basically the CCP itself is very opaque. No one could actually see through what is happening there.
Let me add one more thing. I think except COVID and economic pressure, there's a third one, which is there's a strong criticism on how Xi Jinping has been handled foreign policy, especially its fight with competition with the United States. It's on board with Russia in the Ukraine conflict. Those are the very bad foreign policy decisions. So I'm still watching how the China will react to Quad and also react to Biden's Taiwan comment. I mean, these are the sensitive moments.
Do you believe that the US can still support its one China policy, as well as Biden said, intervene militarily to defend Taiwan?
I think one of the things that come out from the U.S. one China policy is that it had put up with a new condition, meaning that the precondition is China cannot use force to achieve its unification. Of course, U.S. will agree that that Taiwan and China can be unified in the future, but this have to go through in a peaceful means and have to depends on Taiwan's people's own will, that you cannot force upon the Taiwan people will by force.
Dr. Lai, do you agree about that, or is it that the US actually doesn't take a position?
The US does not take any position on the Taiwan's sovereignty or the status in its relation with China. And also international scholar, especially the scholarly or the legal counselor within the State Department, still maintain the position that the United States still maintains the so-called Taiwan status undetermined, that legal interpretation regarding Taiwan. So that that is a part of the development of the San Francisco Peace Treaty. So that no, the United States does not take the position whether Taiwan is a part of China.
Would you agree with the calls for strategic ambiguity to become strategic clarity?
Right now, the strategic ambiguity does not seem to serve the function to deter China from its military maneuver or the aggression against Taiwan. From year 2016 and onward, we started to see the Chinese military assets, whether that's aircraft or the vessels, keep approaching Taiwan and in a more aggressive manners. Last year we already have about 1,000 Chinese aircrafts enter Taiwan's ADIZ. And this year, I think the pace will be, it will break the record last year. And also the issue about the Chinese international isolation campaign against Taiwan in the last 2 or 3 years also intensified. But now that it seems that all the international gatherings, as long as it's international, no matter it's a political or non-political, the Chinese position is that no, Taiwan cannot step into those gatherings. And that kind of the increase our international campaign against Taiwan.
A day after Biden's comments, Dr. Lai, 4 Chinese and Russian bombers flew close to or into Japan's and South Korea's air defense zone. And since then, China has also announced military drills around Taiwan. But why didn't we see a reaction that was much stronger and more immediate?
I thought that signal about the China's and the Russian military aircraft joined together, flying across the Japan and South Korea, that already sent very strong signals. I'm just wondering that should String want to be any stronger? What would that be? Firing missiles to the Japan Sea?
I think because there are only 4, right? And we're used to how many? 20 in a day?
In the past, that we last year, we do see that there are the 10 ships fly from China, from Russia. They sort of encircle the whole Japan during one exercise, and also the China and the Russia, but separately enter or the flow the proximity to the Japan airspace. So this is the time that the China and the Russia they flew together. And right after the Quad meeting. So it is not just about U.S.-Japan, it's about the joint response to the Quad. So it means 2 things. First of all, despite the outside observers looking at the possible drift between China and Russia, especially looking at the Russian military performances in the invasion against Ukraine, at least the Chinese action this time is telling everyone that we're still with Russia, and this is an axis we are bonding together.
Would you agree that it's a symbol of their no limits partnership? And how does the US, or how does the US trilateral group, US, South Korea, Japan, how would they take that message?
I think it's really a very clumsy response from Russia and China. I mean, for the China's sake, China had been saying to the US and the world that they are not in alliance with Russia in terms of the Ukraine affairs. Now you are proving yourself that you are really in a military alliance by having this joint flight with Russia. And as for Russia, the Quad joint statement had been avoid mentioning the name of Russia because India had been objecting to this. And now Russia is now coming up hand in hand with China in response to Quad. I mean, these are very clumsy response. I don't think they are acting very well according to this, right?
Mm-hmm. Would you agree, Doctor?
Yeah, I think that's exactly, that also shows the kind of the subjugation by the Russia to China. So that some people argue that at the invasion of Ukraine is the Putin hijacking Xi Jinping into his war on Ukraine. But I think that this time the response by the Russia flew with China to the Quads, basically Russia is listening or working through the Chinese command for this. So yeah, that's a clumsy response.
That was TaiwanPlus Point. For the full show, please visit our website, TaiwanPlus.com. Taiwan's Beijing is set for action in the Indonesia Open Badminton tournament that gets underway Tuesday in Jakarta. Dai, the women's world number 2, it will face off against Yang Jiaming of Singapore in the first round. A potential meeting with rival Ratchanok Intanon of Thailand awaits at the quarter-final stage. Dai is in good form coming into the tournament, fresh from beating Olympic champion Chen Yufei of China to win the Thailand Open last month. Taipei Fine Arts Museum is hosting a retrospective on the iconic British fashion designer Mary Quant. Dubbed the mother of the miniskirt, Quant shot to fame in the 1960s with her colourful designs that came to define an era. Her goal, she said, was to make fashion available for everyone. Taipei is the first Asian stop on a world tour for the exhibition Quant Fashion Revolutionary, curated by the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. The retrospective includes over 120 items of authentic vintage clothing, accessories and cosmetics. It will run until the end of August. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. Finally today, we leave you with images of the earliest heat wave in more than 40 years in Spain, people going to fountains and dogs playing with water sprinklers to cool down as temperatures soar. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the TaiwanPlus app. Stay safe and see you next time.